They say in France, every village square holds 1,000 conversations, and every conversation can topple a government. This is a country where revolution runs in the bloodstream, where art isn't decoration, it's survival, and where the simple act of buying bread is a daily pilgrimage that connects you to centuries of tradition. But beneath the postcard perfection lies a nation wrestling with its own contradictions, a place where ancient rituals collide with modern realities in ways that will fundamentally change how you see not just France, but what it means to be human. You're about to discover 20 revelations about France that go far beyond the Eiffel Tower and tourist trails. These aren't just facts, they're keys that unlock the French soul itself. And by the end of this journey, I'll need to know, does understanding a place this deeply make you want to belong to it or run from it? Before we begin this journey together, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because stories like this challenge everything you thought you knew about travel, culture, and what it means to call somewhere home. Let's begin where France's heart truly beats. Number 1. The bread that holds a nation together. Every morning at 7 a.m., millions of French citizens perform the same sacred ritual, the walk to their local boulangerie. But this isn't just about bread. This daily pilgrimage is how France measures the quality of a neighborhood, how strangers become neighbors, and how the rhythm of an entire nation stays synchronized. The government actually regulates the price of bread to prevent social unrest because they know that hungry people with bad bread start revolutions. The weathered hands that select each baguette are participating in something that connects them to every French person who has ever lived. In rural villages, the bakery closes when the baker dies, and sometimes the village dies with it. In bustling cities, new boulangeries signal neighborhood renewal. Tell me in the comments, what daily ritual in your culture brings your community together? But if bread is France's heartbeat, then what we discover next is its soul. Number 2. The wine that remembers Earth's secrets. The French have a word that has no English translation, terroir. It means the way Earth, climate, and human hands conspire to create something that can never be replicated anywhere else. When a French winemaker tastes their wine, they're not just tasting grapes, they're tasting the specific hillside it grew on, the exact amount of rain that fell 3 summers ago, and the limestone deposits left by ancient seas millions of years in the past. This isn't romance, it's a legal system. French wine laws don't just protect brands, they protect the relationship between land and identity itself. A Burgundy from the wrong vineyard, even one just meters away, cannot legally call itself by the same name. The soil remembers everything. Medieval monasteries that first planted vines, Roman armies that marched between rows, and countless generations who understood that wine is liquid geography. What's coming next will show you how this obsession with authenticity shapes every aspect of French life. Number 3. The language guardians. 40 scholars known as the Immortals meet in a palace to decide which words are allowed to be French. They've been doing this for 400 years. When McDonald's entered France, these guardians declared war on Le Big Mac and Le Weekend. They lose most battles against the English, but they never stop fighting, because to them, language isn't communication, it's the final fortress of French identity. Each Thursday, these academics gather under a dome built by Napoleon, debating whether selfie deserves French citizenship or should be replaced with aigle portrait. They wear ceremonial swords and speak with the gravity of judges sentencing criminals. The twist? Young French people are creating new slang faster than the Immortals can ban it. Every generation speaks French that their grandparents wouldn't recognize. This battle between tradition and change reveals something profound about the French character. Number 4. The revolution that never ended. The French Revolution didn't end in 1789. It just learned to wear different uniforms. The average French citizen will participate in more protests in their lifetime than most people attend concerts. Striking isn't seen as disruptive, it's seen as patriotic. The right to revolution is written into their DNA. When French farmers block highways with tractors, or students occupy universities, they're not rebelling against democracy, they're practicing it. The phrase, liberté, égalité, fraternité isn't a motto, it's a daily to-do list. French children grow up understanding that citizenship requires active participation, that democracy dies when people become polite. Even their protests have style. French demonstrators organize communal kitchens, debate philosophy between police charges, and somehow make revolution look like performance art. But all this revolutionary spirit creates an unexpected problem. Number 5. The villages that time forgot. France contains 185 villages officially designated as the most beautiful in the world. These aren't theme parks, they're living museums where people still follow rhythms established 1,000 years ago. In these villages, the church bells don't just mark time, they mark the identity of every resident. You are who you are because of which bells you heard as a child. Stone houses cluster around medieval squares, where markets have operated continuously for centuries. The same families who built these walls still maintain them, using techniques passed through bloodlines like heirloom recipes. Here's what surprised me. Young people are moving back to these villages, bringing startups and internet businesses to medieval squares. They're proving you can be globally connected while remaining locally rooted. Type 1 in the comments if you believe preserving tradition is more important. Or 2, if you think embracing progress matters more. This tension between old and new creates France's most fascinating contradictions. Number 6. The Secret Passages of Lyon. Lyon contains a secret city hidden inside the regular city. Over 400 hidden passages called traboules tunnel through buildings, connecting streets in ways that only locals understand. These passages were used by silk workers to transport goods without facing the weather, by resistance fighters to evade Nazis, and by modern citizens to take shortcuts through their daily lives. Renaissance courtyards appear suddenly after narrow stone corridors. Spiral staircases lead to unexpected gardens. The passages create a Lyon that exists in layers: the tourist city on the surface, the local city underneath. But here's the magic. Accessing these passages requires asking locals. They're not marked on tourist maps. You have to earn the right to know the city's secrets. This creates something incredible, a Lyon that belongs only to Lyonnais. If you could design a secret pathway in your city, where would it connect? Speaking of secrets, what we discover next will change how you think about French food forever. Number 7. The cheese that chooses its people. Roquefort cheese can only be aged in the natural caves of one tiny village. Not because of marketing, because of mold. A specific mold that grows nowhere else on Earth. The French don't just protect this cheese, they protect the exact microorganisms that make it possible. These caves contain living ecosystems that have been cultivated for over 1,000 years. Master affineurs descend into limestone caves carved by ancient waters, turning wheels of cheese that represent partnerships between human craft and microbial alchemy. The green veins threading through each wheel are living maps of invisible territories. When you taste authentic Roquefort, you're tasting a partnership between humans and microbes that predates most countries. This obsession with authenticity reaches almost mystical levels. Number 8. The markets that measure a nation's pulse. Every French town transforms one day a week. Empty squares fill with vendors, neighbors become customers, and the week's social calendar gets written in the language of produce selection. These markets aren't just commerce, they're democracy in action. Local farmers present their offerings directly to citizens who vote with their wallets. Quality is debated, questioned, and defended face to face. Elderly women teach younger neighbors how to select melons by sound, how to judge cheese by touch, and how to choose wine by reading the stories in vintners' eyes. Knowledge flows between generations, like water finding its level. The French measure the health of their communities by the quality of their markets. A good market means a healthy local economy, social cohesion, and cultural continuity. What would your ideal local market look like? Tell me in the comments. But markets reveal something deeper about French identity. Number 9. The apéro that stops time. Every evening at 7 p.m., France collectively exhales. The apéro pre-dinner drinks isn't about alcohol. It's about transitioning from the productive self to the human self. During apéro, work doesn't exist. Phones stay silent. The only agenda is conversation and connection. It's a daily meditation disguised as socializing. Friends gather on terraces as golden light transforms ordinary streets into stages for human connection. Simple snacks become excuses for philosophical debates. Time moves differently during these evening rituals. Americans optimize for efficiency. The Japanese optimize for perfection. The French optimize for the quality of human connection. This philosophy shapes everything, including their approach to protest. Number 10. The strikes that teach democracy. French children grow up attending protests with their parents, like other kids attend soccer games. Striking isn't disruption, it's civic education. When French teachers strike, they're not just demanding better pay, they're demonstrating to their students how democratic participation works. When farmers block roads with tractors, they're teaching the country that food systems require political attention. The French have perfected the art of the civilized revolution. They can shut down a city while maintaining social courtesy. Protests include childcare, philosophical debates, and communal meals. Strike days become impromptu festivals of democratic engagement. Citizens who disagree with the cause still respect the right to express dissent. How do you think citizens should express disagreement with their government? This commitment to civic engagement creates unexpected beauty. Number 11. The gardens that heal nations. French gardens aren't nature, they're philosophy made visible. Every hedge, pathway, and fountain represents humanity's relationship with the natural world. When the French aristocracy created Versailles, they weren't just showing wealth, they were demonstrating that humans could improve upon nature through reason and artistry. Mathematical precision governs every curve. Seasonal plantings create living paintings that change with time. Water features follow geometric principles that satisfy both eye and mind. Modern French cities continue this tradition. Paris has more public gardens per capita than almost any major city, because access to curated beauty is considered a human right. But the most beautiful French spaces aren't the famous ones. Number 12. The villages that exist to be perfect. Gourds looks like it grew from the earth itself. Every stone house follows curves that echo the hillside, using local materials and shades that shift with the light. These plus-beau villages aren't accidents. They're the result of centuries of aesthetic democracy. Communities collectively decide how buildings should look, what colors are permitted, and how modernity should be integrated. Residents sacrifice individual expression for collective beauty. Your house must contribute to a harmony larger than yourself. Planning committees debate window sizes with the intensity of constitutional conventions. This creates villages so perfect they seem fictional, but they're home to people living completely real lives, raising children, running businesses, arguing about politics in squares designed by medieval monks. Would you give up architectural freedom for guaranteed beauty? This balance between individual and community reveals France's deepest contradiction. Number 13. The food that demands patience. A proper French meal requires a minimum of 2 hours. Not because the service is slow, but because rushing good food is considered a form of violence. The French believe that how you eat reveals who you are. Meals are constructed like symphonies, each course preparing your palate for the next, building toward climax and resolution. Children learn that food is both fuel and art, that cooking is both craft and love, and that eating together creates bonds stronger than law. Recipes pass through families like sacred texts, modified slightly by each generation. The sequence matters. Bread is broken before wine is poured, cheese follows the main course, and coffee never accompanies dessert. These aren't arbitrary rules, they're cultural DNA. This reverence for process over product shapes everything. Number 14. The art of living slowly. L'art de vivre. The art of living isn't about luxury. It's about extracting maximum meaning from simple moments. The French have perfected the skill of being present. They've built a culture where productivity serves life, not the reverse. While other cultures optimize for achievement, the French optimize for satisfaction. They measure success by how much they enjoyed the process, not just the outcome. Morning coffee rituals can last an hour. Evening walks follow routes designed for maximum human encounter. Weekend market visits become social symphonies, where purchasing food requires greeting neighbors. Type 1 if you think this approach to life is realistic in the modern world, or 2 if you think it's a luxury most people can't afford. This creates a different relationship with time itself. Number 15. The rivers that remember everything. French rivers aren't just waterways, they're libraries. The Seine remembers Viking raids, medieval trade routes, and royal barges. The Loire remembers Renaissance princes building chateaux to impress their lovers. Each river shaped the identity of its region. Bordeaux wines exist because Roman merchants needed the Garonne River to transport amphorae. Champagne exists because the Marne River connected monasteries to royal courts. Rivers carry more than water. They carry the accumulated memory of human ambition, love, trade, and survival. Medieval bridges still guide modern traffic along paths chosen by Roman engineers. When French people refer to their river, they're claiming thousands of years of continuous human story. These geographic relationships created France's most distinctive feature. Ask a French person where they're from, and they'll name their region before their country. Brittany speaks a Celtic language. The Basque Country plays sports that exist nowhere else. Corsica has its own mountains, dialects, and independence movements. France isn't a nation, it's a confederation of tribes who agreed to share a passport. Each region maintains its own relationship with land, food, time, and identity. This creates a country where unity and diversity exist in constant, creative tension. France stays French by allowing its parts to remain stubbornly, beautifully different. Regional pride runs deeper than national loyalty. A Provençal meal follows different rules than a Breton feast. Norman architecture speaks a different language than Alpine construction, but regional pride reveals something profound about French character. Here's what all these facts reveal. France isn't a place, it's an argument. An ongoing, centuries-long debate about how humans should live together. Every French institution, from language academies to cheese caves, exists to preserve something while allowing it to evolve. They've created a culture that says, we will change everything except our right to argue about change. The French have solved the fundamental human paradox, how to honor the past while embracing the future. They do it by never stopping the conversation. This is why French villages can feel timeless while remaining vibrantly alive. Why their food tastes like tradition but constantly evolves. Why their protests feel like celebrations, and their celebrations feel like profound political acts. The secret isn't that France has found the perfect balance, it's that they've made the search for balance their national art form. So here's my question for you. In a world obsessed with choosing sides, what can we learn from a culture that has turned disagreement itself into a form of love? Remember those 1,000 conversations in every village square? Now you understand what they're really debating. Not what France should become, but how to become it without losing who they've always been. France teaches us that identity isn't something you possess, it's something you practice. Every shared meal, every market visit, every passionate argument about politics or cheese is a small act of cultural creation. They say the best travel changes not just how you see other places, but how you see home. France doesn't just show you how to live, it challenges you to examine whether you're living at all. In a world of rapid change, France offers something radical. The possibility that you can evolve while remaining yourself, that you can be modern while honoring tradition, and that the most revolutionary act might be taking time to savor your coffee while debating the meaning of life with strangers who become neighbors. If this journey through France left you questioning not just where you want to travel, but how you want to live, you've understood something essential about what travel can become. Tell me in the comments, what aspect of French culture would you most want to bring to your own community? The 2-hour lunches? The weekly market rituals? The art of civilized disagreement? And if you're ready to discover more places where culture and identity dance together in unexpected ways, subscribe to join our ongoing conversation about what it means to belong somewhere whether you were born there or not. Because the best stories aren't about perfect places. They're about places that perfect the art of being beautifully, stubbornly, passionately human. Share this story. Share it for the dreamers who see connection in every shared meal, revolution in every passionate conversation, and home in every place where people still take time to argue about what matters. Because understanding France isn't about adding another destination to your travel list, it's about discovering that the most profound journeys happen not when you change location, but when you change perspective. France teaches us that culture isn't what you inherit, it's what you choose to create, preserve, and transform every single day. The conversation continues in the comments below.